Everybody, it is Mike, 55 years young. This guy's name is Dr. Robert Lustig. He's got his eyes closed right now. Let's get right into this video. Let's find out what makes him so horrified about what's going on with the food system out there.
It's a problem because the food industry has made the grocery store a minefield.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really
Absolutely.
easy to set off an explosion. If you walk in, you've basically lost. That's how.
Yep. This is what I tell people. 90+% of all choices out there are health harming. They're bad choices. So basically, we live in a world where most people live right now that is full of super negative peer pressure in all directions, especially at the grocery store, like this guy says. And by the way, there is an escape hatch. Just go to our website or go to healthoptimizationtravel.org and check out La Casa Mas Alta. It's one of the choices, and you can learn more there.
How bad it is. Understood. So the simple rule is eat real food. So what's real food?
Whole plants.
Well, food
No
that came out of the
chemicals.
ground or animals that ate food that came out of the ground. The problem is we all lead busy lives and we're looking for labor saving
And this guy is not vegan, by the way. So, but I still want to get his insight. That's why we're watching this, and I'm commenting on it.
devices because people don't even have time to cook. Most people, 33% of Americans don't even know how to cook.
Yeah, they eat
anymore.
out. It's very
So,
bad.
like, what are they going to
Super
do?
bad.
So we understand this. I mean, it's a problem. Agreed. We need food that is metabolically healthy for us, not metabolically detrimental. And the
Absolutely.
problem is that as soon as you put the added sugar in the food, you have made it metabolically detrimental. Now, the food industry will
Okay, now he's talking about added sugar. That's what the silent killer is if you look at this video here, right? The title of it. Added sugar, I would refine that to say, uh, it's got to be not processed or unrefined sugar, actually. It's got to be what, that's why I'm laughing at myself. The 6 pillars of healthy vegan food explains everything that we recommend and don't recommend. And you can find that at healthyveganfood.info. But there are some types of sugar that naturally occur in foods, whole plants, that are fine. The minute you isolate it and you pull away all the water and the fiber and almost all the nutrition, that's a whole different thing. That's not a whole plant anymore. That's serious problems, just like this guy is saying.
say, well, there are all these other good things in there, like vitamins and minerals. We fortify it, et cetera. So I'm here to tell you, toxin A plus antidote B still equals death.
Yeah.
Okay? Just
That's a good
because
way
they
to say
put
it.
some vitamins in there, or you take a dietary supplement, if it's not solving your
Yeah, what's interesting is that the supplements are not to be, that's not the primary way to get something. The primary way to get a nutrient you need is to go to the internet, look up what whole foods have more of that thing that you're lacking from your blood test, your doctor, or whatever reason you think you're lacking it, and eat that. But if you're eating something that is nutritionally bankrupt, that's full of added sugar, like he's saying, which is the isolate of sugar without the water, the fiber, or the regular nutrition, then you're adding back in stuff. You're basically eating a food that is made of a sweetened supplement. That's what it is. I mean, it's not even close to real. I just kind of made that up, but I think that pretty well describes it.
mitochondrial dysfunction,
Yeah.
what's the point?
Yep.
So you can't believe what the food industry is telling you.
Definitely not.
Okay? If they say something is healthy, it's usually the opposite. Whatever it says on the package, believe
That's
the
a good way to
opposite.
look at it.
Because they have an incentive to put wrong stuff on the package.
I would
And
imagine so.
I'll be honest with you, I'm part of numerous lawsuits suing the food industry for deceptive advertising, misbranding, mislabeling. 70% of all of the items in the American grocery store are misbranded or mislabeled.
In what way?
They say things that are not true.
Give me some examples.
Well, first of all, time they use the word healthy, okay, they say no added sugar.
Healthy. The reason we came up with our 6-pillar healthy vegan food standard, learn more at healthyveganfood.info, is because we wanted to come up with a standard of something that we know is not going to cause intentional harm to your health. Something that we could in good conscience call healthy. And as this guy's pointing out, that's not the way the rest of the world works. The rest of the world calls everything healthy, and it is not. So that has been done in a bad conscience.
Okay, but in fact, they put in apple puree or raspberry puree or evaporated cane juice. There are 262 names for sugar, and the food industry uses all of them. And so they will.
Okay, now, just so you know, for what we say about sugar, we don't want to use refined sugars. Zero refined sugars is what we say, and that we use the description or the analysis from the T. Cullen Campbell Center for Nutrition Studies, and what they say is that molasses, it used to be agave, molasses, maple syrup, or what was the third one? I can't remember it now. Or just whole fruit like dates, molasses, dates, maple syrup, or any whole fruit really, because he's mentioned some fruits, but those aren't whole. The purees, I don't think we're okay with. I don't think Dr. Campbell is okay with that one either. So that's the only thing that we say is acceptable to sweeten food in our 6-pillar healthy vegan food standard. And of course, this guy knows, and you probably know too, that they use everything else under the sun, something you never heard of before.
Will say that something's no added sugar, but that in fact is actually not the case. Okay, there's a whole host of this. Kellogg's has been sued for Raisin Bran. Okay, everyone thinks Raisin Bran. Well, it's just raisins and bran. What color are the raisins in Raisin Bran?
I've never seen it.
White.
Well, I mean, raisins are purple.
Yeah.
Purple brown.
Yeah. Normally.
Well, the raisins in Raisin Bran are white.
Okay.
Why?
Sugar crystals, white sugar crystals.
If you take the raisins in Raisin Bran, that's supposed to be 11 grams of sugar, but on the side of the package, it says that one serving is 18 grams of sugar. Where'd the other 7 come from?
Mm-hmm.
It's the white, because they've all been dipped in a sugar solution to make them sweeter.
Yep.
As an example. Okay? So Post has been sued, General Mills, theirs was dismissed. Mondelez, a whole host of companies are actually under the gun now to change their practices.
Why do you care so much?
I am a pediatrician. My job is to take care of children.
And actually, we say with the work that we do, which is kind of in alignment with him, even though he's not 100% plant-based, is that we are improving society for future generations. That's what we say. People want to know what we're doing. We're improving society for future generations. Well, how are you doing that? We want to eradicate non-communicable disease from humans. Well, how do you eradicate non-communicable disease from humans? You achieve a state of health optimization. Well, what's a state of health optimization? It is a fully balanced state of health that is verified by an absence of non-communicable disease. All this stuff is on our website at aPlantBasedDiet.org.
Children are vulnerable.
Yes, they are.
In the same way minorities are vulnerable, in the same way prisoners are vulnerable.
Not to mention, a lot of this is a food addiction problem. So you're getting them hooked early. What's out there in the grocery store, and he probably knows it, it's kind of like the drug dealers. And they're just dealing everything out. And then when you learn something as a child like that, we know, look how hard it is for us adults to change our habits. I was not taught this stuff growing up. I wish I was, but the knowledge just wasn't there. But what's even worse is trying to think that you're going to be able to change habits later on. It just usually doesn't work out that way.
Okay, they need a voice. My job is to give every kid a shot.
That's good.
Well, we now have neonatal obesity.
That's bad.
We have babies being born. Israel, South Africa, Russia, United States, 4 separate studies showing that over the past 25 years, birth weight has gone up 200 grams, half a pound, in all 4 countries. And when you do DEXA scanning to look at body composition on those newborns, those 200 grams are all fat.
No.
We have neonatal obesity. These kids did not get obese by dieting and exercising, by gluttony and sloth. They came out of the womb behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, addicted.
It's my job.
already addicted, already in those patterns and habits. And yeah, the hardest thing to do is to change any habit. I talk about this in my book, Live to 150. Check it out. It's free, liveto150.org. But this is why I'm totally in alignment with this guy.
As a pediatrician to fix the problem. That's what I care.
Can you just give me a little bit of brief overview of everything you're talking about, the studies you've referenced, all of that? What is the academic experience, background, research that you've done that's built all of the foundations of your knowledge?
I spent the first 20 years of my medical practice, in academia, basically,
Learning
doing
things.
what they told me to do.
The wrong things.
The way I learned it. And I thought calories were the same, and I thought that, it didn't matter, and this is not what you do, and this is not how you take care of patients. You do prescriptions and you do procedures, and that's how you do it. And then I started doing research because I was at St. Jude Children's.
All right, now that's the difference between what he's taught in medical school and lifestyle, choices, habits, okay? What it comes down to, that has more of an effect than anything. That's why we follow lifestyle medicine. We have a 12-step program to achieve this state of health optimization. It's the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine combined with the 6 pillars of healthy vegan food. So it's all about those habits. So if you don't know, I'm telling you, this guy knows too. They're extremely powerful. In fact, they're the only thing that works. The other stuff it just manages the disease state. It doesn't actually heal anything. And these folks never claim to heal anything either, unfortunately.
Children's Research Hospital taking care of these massively obese kids who had brain tumors that were treated by surgery or radiation, and they became massively obese because of it, because their hypothalamus was damaged, because they couldn't see that leptin signal that we talked about earlier.
Which is the hunger.
Which it is part of hunger. It's not the only hunger.
It's ghrelin related.
It's more of an energy sufficiency signal.
Okay, right.
It's the energy sufficiency signal.
Stop.
Anyway,
we're there.
When we suppressed their insulin release with that drug.
Yeah, I hear that a lot from people who are not vegan. They're like, hey, I don't feel full when I eat only plants. I can't do it. And this guy explains the science behind what's going on when people are saying that. I don't ever think that they're wrong, but the problem is that they are addicted to the ways that they have been raised. And that way has hijacked everything in your body, all your systems, including your taste buds, including this lectin marker, and he's going to explain it.
I mentioned before, they lost weight and they started exercising spontaneously. So we did that with adults, and guess what? Same thing happened. And we measured their energy expenditure, and instead of it going down, as you'd expect when you lose weight, normally your energy expenditure goes down, their energy expenditure went up. So what this told me was that insulin is blocking leptin, and as long as your leptin's being blocked, you feel like crap.
There you go.
And you're hungry, and you don't want to get off the couch. And
that's what everybody says who can't stick with plant-based eating. It's because they're already in this cycle of insulin resistance that he's describing. And then he's describing like the secondary stage of insulin resistance, where you get into this negative feedback loop, basically, that you can't get out of, or you think you can't get out of. But you have to be open-minded, and that's the only thing that's required here, to consider the fact that you're stuck in a negative feedback loop that society threw you into, that you can choose to get out of. And that's kind of the power behind all this about taking control of your own health. And I'm glad he's saying it in this manner. It's a way that I think a lot of other people can understand. So share this video with people if you've ever heard any of these things that I just mentioned, that you've heard this, that they've been saying to you.
As soon as your insulin goes down, now your brain can see the leptin.
There you go.
And you're not hungry. And you can start exercising. What this showed me was that the behaviors that we associate with.
And I also want to say, just because someone isn't diagnosed with type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance doesn't mean they don't have it. Doesn't mean they're not already in metabolic syndrome. I've had people who are obviously overweight tell me that they are absolutely not diabetic or type 2 diabetic or insulin resistant. I can just look at them and tell you that that's not the case. It's just that they probably already have so many other health issues This is just adding to another one where they're going to slam you into another pharmaceutical or drug for the rest of your life with all kinds of negative side effects.
With obesity, the gluttony and the sloth are actually secondary
There you go.
to this biochemical phenomenon of insulin blocking leptin.
Makes sense.
And so this put me on the path of understanding insulin as the problem rather than insulin as the result.
Okay.
Fix the insulin, fix the problem.
Right. And how do you do that?
I've been doing that for the last 25 years.
And that's what brought you to the subject.
Okay. So how do you do that? Of course, we understand it as a problem of eating too high a percentage of calories from fat. So you got to keep your percentage of calories from fat at 10% maximum. And that's one of the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine, because once you get above that and you have all that fat floating in your system, that's when you clog up the cells, you create the insulin resistance and all the other resulting problems that he's talking about.
Subject of sugar, because sugar increases insulin levels.
Well, sugar causes insulin resistance.
Okay.
So there are two phenomena.
Okay, now he's talking about another way that creates insulin resistance. I don't think he understands the fat connection, but he's talking about processed sugar too. Keep that in mind, refined sugar. He's not talking about natural whole sugar, because if you look it up, and I challenge you, if you even think you're agreeing with this guy 100%, because I agree with him 50%, he's got half of it right. And in terms of how insulin resistance happens, go to an LLM like ChatGPT or Grok, type in, does eating whole fruit create insulin resistance or heal insulin resistance? And look at what the answer says.
Phenomena with insulin. Insulin release, which is an acute phenomenon.
So that's when I eat something, there'll be some insulin released, which means I have an insulin spike.
Right.
And then it comes back down nicely.
Well, that's if you're eating a low glycemic food, you won't see much of a spike at all. But if you're eating high glycemic, and that's the problem with refined sugars, the water, the fiber, the other nutrition is gone, you're going to spike everything. That's part of the problem.
If
or not.
Or not.
Or not.
Depending on how much and how consistently I've been eating sugar.
Exactly right. So if your liver has fat in it, and 45% of American adults now have fat in their liver, and 25% of kids now have fat in their liver.
Fatty liver, it's a big, big problem out there.
And they never did before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, before 1980, if you saw fat in the liver, that was alcohol. But if 25% of kids who don't drink alcohol have fat in their liver, how'd the fat get there?
Yeah, it's bad.
Sugar. Because sugar.
Right. He's saying, again, processed sugar. It didn't get there from eating whole fruit. Okay? This guy is, like I said, he's about half right. And he's giving good advice, but it should not steer you away from whole fruit. It should steer you away from the processed sugars, the isolates of sugars that your liver will probably convert to fat, is what I'm guessing he's going to tell you.
Sugar gets turned into fat
in
the liver.
There you go.
That's the driver of this. What that does is that causes a phenomenon called insulin resistance. Your liver doesn't work right.
That's one way to get insulin resistance. The same pathway, though, you have too much fat circulating in your body. He's saying it's from that. That's one way. But the other way is dietary fat. People are eating way too much fat. I've done videos on this. It's an epidemic of high-fat, high-sodium foods out there. When you combine that with eating processed sugar along with it, you get this perfect storm of disaster, and that's what he's describing.
So your pancreas has to make more insulin to make your liver work right. Like having to put more people on the assembly line when, people are,
That's why we have all these pancreas issues, pancreatic cancers. I've had people that I know that have died from this, and heard of many others. It's on the rise.
Goofing off for, not getting their job done, right? Same idea. So you have to basically goose the liver to do its job. Well, that raises insulin levels all over the body. And once that happens, now you're taking energy from your bloodstream and putting it in fat cells for storage. So by getting the insulin down, so if it's insulin resistance, fixing the insulin resistance by getting rid of the fat in the liver, or if it's the insulin release at the beginning by...
Yep, so you've got to get rid of the fat in the liver by not eating processed sugar, as he's saying, but also eating a diet with dishes that are no more than 10% of calories from fat, which is nearly impossible with standard American diet. It is impossible. You've got to follow the 6 pillars of healthy vegan food, at healthyveganfood.info.
Lowering your refined carbohydrate, because that's the primary stimulus of that first spike.
Processed food.
Either way, it's refined.
Let me also clarify, refined carbohydrate is two types of carbs. Whole plant carbs, which he's not talking about because whole fruit is completely fine, not fruit juice, whole fruit. And then there are processed carbs or processed food. And everybody knows that's bad. So processed sugar, refined sugar, that's a processed food. You got to eliminate that. I fully agree.
Carbohydrate and sugar. Get the insulin down.
And diabetes is when
your pancreas can't keep up.
Okay, so it's really so much insulin, it goes, forget this, I'm done.
Right.
Yep.
It's the end result of both of these.
I like the way he describes that because I talk about this in my book, and this is everything we do is based on this, that life always wants to continue. It always does. And one of the reasons we know this is because of non-communicable disease. Non-communicable disease is just your body asking you to please stop whatever you're doing that's creating this disease state. And it will reverse in almost every case. Your body will regenerate and you'll be completely fine as long as you stop the bad behavior. But if you don't stop and enough time goes by, like he's talking about here, then the system will just start to shut down because it's like your body's like, well, I communicated as best I could. You weren't listening, or you were being taking drugs and pharmaceuticals to moderate the symptoms or manage them. And either way, it's going to end up shutting down. It's the same end result, and it's super bad. And I'm so thankful that this guy notices this and is trying to explain it in a way that more people can understand. So please share this video.
Phenomena.
Which we've now realized is reversible. I think there was a school of thought once upon a time that diabetes couldn't be reversed.
Oh
That's right.
But
That's
it is
right.
reversible.
It is very reversible for a while.
Yeah.
So let's be clear and honest about this.
Yes.
There is absolutely no doubt that what doctors learn in medical school is wrong.
See, I love this guy. I love the way he's talking. I wish all doctors, including the plant-based and vegan doctors, would talk like this, okay? Because he's being very straightforward. Even if he's missing a lot of the information, because animal products are also very harmful, at least he's getting this idea, this epidemic, described in a way that more people can understand.
We are told, and I know because I was told, that diabetes is a chronic, progressive, unrelenting disease that never gets better, and that you will need medication,
Hopeless.
whether it be insulin or oral hypoglycemics
Drugs,
or whatever,
pharmaceuticals,
for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Yeah. Good.
Total, complete trash.
Glad he says it.
Now, Virta Health, numerous other studies of various diets show that you can absolutely reverse type 2 diabetes.
Yeah. Yep.
In order to do so, you have to get the pancreas to make insulin properly.
And you have to change all of your habits. That's the hardest part, okay? Is changing everything you've been taught, getting off the crap that you're addicted to, somehow getting out of that vicious cycle, that vicious circle. That is the hard work. That's the problem. It's so simple, the way he describes it. It is so simple, but it's so hard.
And the only way to do that is to get the liver to respond to insulin properly.
Mm-hmm.
One way is to not challenge the liver. Give the liver a rest.
Imagine that.
Well, it's metabolizing all that refined carbohydrate and sugar. Drop the refined carbohydrate and sugar and make your liver work better.
Little keto.
So a ketogenic diet's the extreme version of this. It's not the only.
Yeah, I knew he was going to go there. Like carnivore and stuff like that. It is probably better than eating processed food. Processed food is awful. That's why I made the distinction between processed carbs and whole plant carbs, two totally different things.
But it is a way. Paleo diet is another version.
Fasting.
Intermittent fasting will give your liver a chance to burn off the fat that's accumulated over the
6 pillars of healthy vegan food? 6 pillars of healthy vegan food? Yes.
last 16 hours. There are many ways to skin this cat.
Calorie counting?
Almost never.
Calorie restriction?
Yes, calorie restriction.
Yeah.
But it's got to be consistent and
it's got to be restricted from what you were eating, which you probably weren't keeping track of. So there's a high rate of failure there.
long term.
Oh, by the way, our 6 pillars of healthy vegan food has 0 calorie restriction, 0 portion control, but you must comply. You must change your habits. But all our events are doing that. By the way, if you want to know where you can do and live it out, go to healthoptimizationtravel.org or plantbasedevents.info. Either one, you'll find events.
And we've shown, numerous studies have shown, that as you restrict calories, that leptin resistance does not get better quickly. It takes years for that leptin resistance to finally go away.
Wow.
Like 5 years before you change the set point.
Let's take a step back. So what does leptin do again? It's about energy.
So leptin is made in your fat cells.
Yeah.
In response to driving energy into fat, the cell will make leptin. The leptin will circulate in the bloodstream, will go to your brain, go to your hypothalamus, and say, hey, I've got enough energy on board to engage in expensive metabolic processes.
So we don't need any more?
I don't need to eat more.
Yes.
I can engage in puberty. I can engage in pregnancy.
Okay.
Hey, we're full. We're done. Thank you so much until we need more food again. But does the average person ever hear that? No. That's the thing. It doesn't matter what people are eating. But let's say slip into a food coma, I'd say that's the stopping point. It's not the leptin like it should be, like he describes.
Okay, both of which are high metabolic processes. Okay, so it is like the servo mechanism, like the thermostat on your house. Okay, you have a floor but no ceiling.
Yeah.
So when it's cold in your house, the heat kicks in. But if you don't have air conditioning, it can go.
I like the way he describes this stuff. It's so practical in the way he describes it.
Higher, right? Same idea with leptin. Floor, no ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
So when your leptin goes below a certain threshold, your brain will see that as starvation.
You get really hungry.
And so you will get both hungry and you will also sit on the couch.
Yeah, and I see people in the United States where nobody goes hungry, it seems like anymore, not in 2025. I mean, people think they're going to die because they feel so hungry when they don't even realize, as this guy's saying, that it's just that negative feedback loop that you're stuck in. That's why you can't get out of it. It's why you can't lose weight. It's why you have a host of health problems, type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance. It's all the same disease, heart disease, probably Alzheimer's, dementia in later years. It goes on and on. But people need to wake up and see this for what it really is.
Okay. So that's the way the activity component comes in, because your brain's saying, listen, don't waste this energy.
Exactly. Conserve.
Okay.
Because we're in trouble here.
Right.
We're in trouble down here.
So amazing. So not only are we not full, so we have to keep eating until we're in a food coma. When we stop eating, we have to not do anything because we're probably on the verge of starvation. That's the way the body's reacting, and that does explain a lot. It also explains why The Simpsons is like the longest running TV show in history with Homer Simpson, and people look up to this guy.
Okay, so eat more and don't move. That's the biochemistry that drives the behavior.
Oh,
why don't they have leptin injections?
Well, they do.
Oh, really?
But it turns out it doesn't work in leptin resistance because the problem is not that you're missing leptin. The problem is you have too much leptin.
Okay,
it's just not working. So adding more leptin is like throwing kerosene on the fire.
The receptor sites have stopped.
Receptor sites are not there. Either they've been downregulated or they're being blocked, one or the other. If insulin blocks it, okay, or they can be downregulated too, both. Now, if you're leptin deficient, and there are 14 patients with leptin deficiency, and quite a few of them, by the way, are in the UK of the 14. And Sadaf Faruqi and Steve O'Reilly at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge are the people who've done the most work on leptin deficiency. If you take a patient who's leptin deficient,
not many
they
like that.
basically start gaining weight as soon as they're born. By age 6 months, they're already massively obese. By the age of 3, they can't even fit through the door.
Okay. Now, I agree that some things are genetic, like he's describing. It's just that it's such an outlier because I've run the numbers through the LLMs, the AI, the ChatGPT, and Grok, and in the United States, 90% of all medical costs are due to non-communicable diseases. Non-communicable diseases you cannot catch. It's not from an accident, and it's not genetic. It's lifestyle. So he's talking about the real super hyper unusual cases, and that's what would happen. You'd blow up like a hot air balloon. It sounds like you can't even fit through the door.
Okay? They eat everything in sight, and they don't move. You give them a shot of leptin because they're deficient. You're replacing what's missing. And they slim down like that.
Oh.
They're genetically leptin deficient.
They're genetically leptin deficient. They have a mutation in their leptin gene.
So
that's almost nobody. Keep that in mind.
Obesity could be genetic in some very, very small cases.
Very small number of patients. It is genetic. But that's not what's going on in the rest of the population.
Yeah, just so you know, the non-communicable disease numbers since I was born in 1970 went up from about 60% to 90%, gone up every single year. So it's not that we're getting more rare genetic freaks being born, and this doctor is clearly saying that. It's because of people's habits.
So yes, is obesity genetic for a small fraction? Sure. We have leptin deficiency, we have leptin receptor deficiency, we have PC1 deficiency, we have melanocortin-4 receptor deficiency, we have SIM1 deficiency. There are a whole host of different genes, and nobody has them. Nobody has them, all right? Like 14 people have them.
In the world, yeah. Oh, by the way, I am standing up. These guys are sitting, but this is part of what he's saying, is you got to be moving. Because the default in society today is to not move and be tired all the time and eat all the time. So I wish they were standing up.
It's very rare for the reason for general garden variety obesity out in the world to be due to a genetic problem. This is an environmental problem.
Yeah, habits.
In your book, you talk about environmental
Lifestyle.
obesogens. I've never heard that term before. What does it mean?
So, obesogens are chemicals in the environment that actually drive weight gain. They cause the differentiation of fat cells, or they cause the growth of fat cells. Now, fat cells are complex, okay? You have a certain number, but you can increase that number, especially early on in life. There's a critical period before age 2 where you can actually increase the fat cell number. And once a fat cell is developed, it wants to stay filled.
I mean, we got to pause here just for a second, because I think most people think that when we eat food, we increase the number of fat cells we have.
No, we increase the size of the fat cells we have.
This was a really, I learned this a couple of years ago, and it kind of changed the way I think about a lot of things, including liposuction.
Yeah.
Because with liposuction, you kind of think that you're...
And interesting you said before, too, so whatever you're eating between 0 and 2, is going to possibly handicap you for life, whatever your parents were feeding you during those times.
You're taking away fat cells that you've added to your body through diet, but actually the fat cells stay the same. They just grow and shrink.
Well, there's also a problem with liposuction as well. There are 3 fat depots, okay, and they're not the same. On the scale, they're the same because you weigh a certain amount, but from a metabolic standpoint, they are not the same. So let's take each of the fat depots separately so that your audience will understand what it is that they're actually concerned about. So the first fat depot is the obvious, what we call subcutaneous or big butt fat.
Belly fat as well?
No, that comes later.
Oh.
That's the second one.
Okay, subcutaneous.
Big butt fat, or does this bathing suit make me look fat?
So are you saying that's good or bad?
It's actually good.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's protective. The more of it, the less likely that you will have metabolic disease.
Interesting.
It is the place where your body wants to put excess energy because it's safe. Now, most of us have a certain ability to grow that fat to a certain level before it starts becoming a problem. Eventually, you can overload that subcutaneous fat where you will actually make the fat vacuole, the little pocket of fat within the fat cell, grow so much that it will actually cause the border of the vacuole to decompensate. And now you've spilled the grease into the cell. That will kill the cell, and that will cause inflammatory cells to congregate to try to clean up the grease. And then they secrete proteins called cytokines, which end up causing the metabolic dysfunction. In any case, you can overload your subcutaneous fat, but you have to work at it. So about how much fat does your subcutaneous fat have to grow before you become metabolically ill? On average, about 10 kilos, 22 pounds, some more, some less. Okay? Now let's take the second fat depot. Belly fat, visceral fat.
We all know that's bad.
This fat here.
Everyone's worst type of fat.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but not because of cosmetics, because of
Your health.
metabolism.
Yeah, definitely.
In any case, the visceral fat, the belly fat, is that due to calories? Is that due to weight gain? That is actually due to cortisol. That's due to stress.
That's what he says. I believe that. I don't know if it's
And the
100%.
reason we know
though.
that
I don't know if it's 100%.
is because you can take patients who have endogenous clinical depression, okay? They are anhedonic. They don't eat because they generate no reward from life. They generate no reward from eating. They are losing weight. They have to be admitted to the hospital to keep them from killing themselves. So these are with people with suicidal ideation who have to be admitted to psychiatric hospitals.
Bad news.
You put them in a scanner, and it turns out they're losing subcutaneous fat because they're not eating. They're gaining visceral fat because the cortisol from the stress that goes along with the depression is actually laying down more fat in their belly.
I'll believe that.
Why?
That's what cortisol does, because when you're stressed, you need a readily available and metabolically active source of energy in case you're being chased by the lion. So that metabolic fat, that visceral fat, is eminently retrievable rapidly.
Oh, okay.
Fast. Yeah.
Interesting.
Fast.
Okay? Now, how many pounds or kilos of visceral fat do you have to gain before you become metabolically ill?
A lot.
I'm going to guess it's not a lot based on...
That's right, not a lot.
So
Not a lot.
subcutaneous was 10 kilograms.
That's right. Now we're talking about 2 kilograms.
Okay, so 2 kind of bags of sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
pretty
didn't
much.
realize that.
Okay. Now, finally, the third
All
fat
right, this
depot,
is it. This
liver
is it.
fat.
Yeah, this.
Now,
He's going to get you
how
here.
many kilos of liver fat can you accrue before you
get
become
metabolically
metabolically
ill?
ill?
How much?
Liver's really small. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's going to be small.
1/4 of a kilo.
Okay, let's stop it there. That's it. He just explained the whole thing there. Everybody's getting fatty liver disease. Everybody's overloading with insulin resistance. It takes almost nothing before you become metabolically ill using that pathway. So you need to reverse it. This is hopefully some amazing motivation. Everybody could use this motivation. Please leave me your comments. Please share this with others. Subscribe if you don't already. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.